Hi, if there are any aliens listening, please come and get us. Okay, bye. Love you. Hi there, and welcome to the three body narrative. If you're wondering what that entire intro was, well, you just have to wait for 2 minutes because before that, I'm just going to talk to you about who we are. We are your podcast hosts, Pradyumna and Naeem. Ooh, nearly messed that up. Yeah, and we are here to talk to you about everything pop culture, movies, TV shows, and games. And for today's episode, we are going to be talking to you about Disney Pixar's latest entry. I'm messing up big time here, but latest entrant, Elio. So, what is Elio all about? Well, it's basically about an orphan and also a space fanatic, apparently, with an overactive imagination who finds himself inadvertently beamed up to the Communiverse, an interplanetary organization with representatives from galaxies far and wide. Uh, Mistakenly identified as Earth's leader and ambassador, he starts to form new bonds with eccentric aliens while discovering who he's truly meant to be and what it means to truly belong. So, if you've heard that synopsis, rest assured you don't really need to go and watch it in the cinemas. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just really kidding. Well, you know what my rating's going to be. But yes, okay, before we get to reviewing this particular movie, no, sorry, yeah, before we get to discussing in greater detail, let's start with our ratings. So, Naeem, take it away.
Yeah. This is a very straightforward movie. Like most, I mean, it follows the formulaic, um, you tried and tested thing of Pixar. Probably tugs on your heartstrings. I'd give it a 4.4 out of 5. It's a good movie for me, right? But does it redefine the genre in any way, or is it trying something new? Not really. It got some really nice emotional beats for me. Um, it's pretty straightforward, like I said. There's not too much that's happening under what's being told to you. Like that synopsis that you just gave pretty much uh, summarizes the movie, and there's not too much to it. But what the story it tells it really well for me, and so I can't really fault it for anything. I had a good time with the movie, and I'd probably watch it also again at some point later as well. Like I'd have a good time watching this movie again as well. So from that perspective, 4 out of 5. But yeah, nothing new per se. I just liked the emotional beats that it hit, and yeah, it's a Pixar movie through and through for me.
Perfect. All right. Concise and short, just like the movie. Aaron?
Yeah, I think in terms of how straightforward and simplistic the movie is, I think I'd agree with Naeem on that. And I think the one thing that I really liked about the movie was the visuals. I think the amount of detail they had in that was really nice to see. In terms of what I'd rate the movie, I think I would give it a 2.5. I don't think it was anything that was mind blowing or was the story wasn't gripping per se, but it also could be because I know Naeem for quite some time was like, "Oh, this is a movie that we need to do," and I probably hyped it up myself, and so probably the expectation of what the movie was probably going to be also kind of has plays some sort of role in it, because normally you'd associate Naeem with like very emotional films or stuff like that, and this I don't think was really quite there. uh, I mean, there was something where you kind of felt like sorry for certain characters or felt bad for them, but yeah, other than that, I don't think it was a overly gripping story. There was a few good laughs through it, but yeah, I think it was an okay movie.
Fair. So I would give Elio a 3 out of 5. Again, following from what both of you said, I think the story was pretty simple, which I wouldn't call it a major criticism. I don't mind it being a little simple. I think nowadays movies get a bit too complicated and don't end up pulling it off. So I don't mind it being the usual Disney formula. But yeah, I think the same thing when Naeem mentioned, like, and I know we're just ganging up on Naeem here, but the moment he like recommended, and I know before he recommended this, he also went to the theaters and he was talking about it. So I know that I thought it was maybe going to be a lot better than what it was. But that being said, it doesn't affect my rating per se. I still would have given it a 3 out of 5. It was nice. Emotional beats were all right. I don't think they were the best, but they were okay. I think it was usual Disney kid drama. I really think the story amped up the the moment he meets Gordon, right? And I think that relationship for me totally worked. I loved the banter that was playing out between the two, and yeah, I think there were parts of it. I think during that bit of the movie which I was really interested and wanting to see where it was going, especially the plan that Elio had. Basically, that was hilarious. That was so much fun, and it kind of did sort of play out and get. I think the ending was satisfying, but in the end, like overall, it doesn't define any genre. It's not one of Pixar's best, and yeah, it's just a good one-time watch. So overall, yeah, that's what I would give it. Decent, solid film, but nothing out of the ordinary. Which is weird because this entire movie was out of the ordinary, or talking about out of the ordinary, or out of the world, right? I mean,
Yeah. But I
just to
think
say.
just to add to the part where you were saying you don't mind a simplistic sort of story, I think why that's important is because sometimes they try to overcomplicate it and then they don't know how to finish the movie, and then it's just a very anticlimactic thing. And so I think in a lot of ways, I think they did justice to way the story kind of played out in the end, I guess.
Yeah, so predictable, but it played out well. You don't want it to be predictable and then end up with a Game of Thrones ending, right? Just because it's predictable, I can't make the ending what everyone thinks it would be. Like, imagine
Yeah.
if like Glodon actually, the father actually shot Glodon and then like he died, and then the mother comes in, I don't know, wherever she is, and then starts this entire galactic war. So yeah, I think overall pretty fine. So what do you want to start off with? I think the one thing I straight away noticed was, obviously he's an orphan because his parents died, and I feel like that's just classic Disney, right? Like they cannot make just a normal kid. So it's either kid with emotional trauma, kids who are orphans, or I don't know, kids who end up in some sort of trouble here or there. So yeah, so what did you guys make of it? And they don't spend too much of time talking about how it happened or what exactly happened, but clearly you could see that, and I don't even know how much time has passed since the parents died to when this is, because it feels like it's the aunt's sort of initial days taking care of Elio.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like a lot of time has kind of elapsed since then, because you can see, like, even with the aunt, there's a lot of stuff going on with her work, which is now kind of putting on hold and stuff. And so it feels like it's fairly recent, just because also you can see, like, there's not much of a relationship between her and Elio. And so you kind of feel like she's still trying to get to know what he's like. I think the initial scene when they're like at a restaurant, or I think workplace canteen or something like that way, and she's trying to figure out like what he wants to eat and stuff. So you feel like it's a fairly recent kind of situation.
Yeah. Name, you were saying something.
Yeah, along the same lines, right? Like I think it's clear in the sense that she's trying to get a grip of the situation. She's not clear on what the plan is, personally and for the kid in itself, and she's
I
just
mean,
trying her best to kind of keep things together. Um,
I love the fact that she had that book as well. I think
hmm,
parenting
yeah,
book, which is pretty relatable, I guess, right? Like you're in a military and you've been pushed into such a situation. I mean, it's bad enough that or it's sad enough that you're pushed into such a situation. The fact that you're in such a high stress job and put into such a situation is pretty, yeah. So, but like, what did you make of that relationship? Because obviously, it's trying times, right? Like, she's trying to juggle both work and the personal life, and then you have this kid who we know how kids are. Like, obviously, acting out. I don't know what he's also going through, and it's difficult. A kid at that age doesn't really know how to express themselves or tell the person how they're feeling. But eh, we soon come to know that he is fascinated by the outer space bit.
I think
Yeah.
the relation. Yeah, go ahead, Aaron.
No, I just saying that I think the situation was quite tough because I think they even show like certain bits of conversation that Elio kind of overhears, which kind of makes him feel kind of unwanted, and which obviously we knew wasn't really the case, but that's the thing. Sometimes things get lost in translation and stuff like that way, and also when you don't really say what's on your mind or don't really have that conversation or put your thoughts out in the open, then it becomes a little bit difficult for you to kind of figure out what the other person is thinking. And I think that's what basically the movie was trying to kind of hint at, which is like sometimes when you keep things to yourself, you kind of feel like you're on your own or unwanted and stuff like that way. But like when you actually open up, that's when you find, I guess, your people or your friend circle and stuff like that way. So yeah.
Yeah, and also I think in terms of the aunt, right? Like since we've kind of established that the movie kind of makes it obvious that it's rather fresh in terms of the loss. She also is dealing on it on multiple levels. Obviously, dealing with the loss of her sister or her brother, whoever it is, and I mean sister-in-law, brother-in-law, whatever that is, right? Like that loss in itself, and like this is a
Do they
person who
mention how they related? No.
I think, if I'm not, but I could be wrong.
Felt like sister and
Yeah,
sister. I don't know. Yeah.
it's just Elio looked a lot like her also, so you kind of have to wonder. But then again, like I mean that could
What's
be.
that saying? What's that mean?
Just chop that off, please.
No,
Uh,
no, definitely not.
Never mind. Just coming back to this, right? So I think it's also the fact that she's so career oriented and her focus is to kind of further her career and she's got dreams of her own. And because it's all fresh and she herself is not like very grown up per se. I think she's just like at the start of a career, not necessarily start of a career, but she's like on an upward trajectory, right? And to kind of now have to figure out what she can do to kind of make both ends work, that is taking care of her nephew as well as making the career work out somehow. um, and if that is not a balance she can maintain, then taking that difficult choice of choosing one over the other, right? Like, and it's not an easy choice obviously, because it is clear that her career means a lot to her, but at the same time I think it's, as humans you're allowed that, right? Like it's not as straightforward as like something happens and everyone is like absolutely selfless and it's like immediate, oh my nephew needs me, and it's like as
Yeah.
humans, I think it is okay for you to have that moment of trying to kind of realize what is important for yourself as well. Like it's only human to kind of have those kind of thoughts as well. It's not just about someone else but yourself as well, so you kind of
Yeah,
need to balance
but
it
it's
out.
also like the further she progresses in her work, it's better for the family, right? Like the better the life is, the better the same. Imagine just like completely
Yeah,
shutting things
but
down. Like
that
you can
comes
never.
at a cost of not having a close bond with her nephew, right? Reason being, she wouldn't have enough time to spend with her nephew. I mean, considering she plans to be an astronaut, or she's working towards being an astronaut, I don't
Yeah.
think she would have much time to spend with her nephew, or put in that this thing, like put put in enough of FaceTime or something that like her nephew needs at this point in time, which I don't think is possible if you're kind of going down that pathway, especially with no other guardian around, right? Like
Yeah.
if you've got other support structure, then it's kind of easier from that perspective, where it's like at least someone's there to watch over him while you're away, kind of a thing. But without that there, it becomes, and that's exactly that conversation which he's having, I think, with a friend or someone, and he overhears it. Obviously he thinks that, like, she cares about her job itself and not him, which is not really the case. She's just, like I said, coming to grips and trying to figure out how she can make things work, etc., etc., and what like really matters in this point, at this point in time, which, as the movie kind of trickles around, makes it abundantly clear that her nephew is extremely important to her, and she would probably choose him over her career if required.
Yeah, I think obviously suffering from communication issues, right? Like, I think the one thing which I felt like should have maybe been said is that while I know Elio lost his parents, like she lost also someone very dear as well in family. So I think that sort of understanding that we now need to work together to kind of move forward. I think that never happens and until quite later on in the end, perhaps. But yeah, I think it's being an astronaut. I mean, that would have ended up like an interstellar type situation where the kid would have to do messages, send messages, video messages to the International Space Station, and then and she gets to see it, probably once in a blue moon, and then react it. Like one moment you see baby Elio, and then suddenly you see like adult Elio while you're still like the same. So I think, yeah, it's hard given the profession that she's in. It's harder that given the profession that she's in. Um, and but yeah, I mean, she's got like a whole load of. I think as a kid, I would probably enjoy it because man, she lets the kid out at all times of the night. Like the kid's on a beach. I don't know at what time in the night, and just like playing around with shit, um, without any questions. The kid's also on the beach. I love the fact like the part where he asks aliens to beam him up, um, and then shows how bad the human race is because you just see people walking across. I'm like, dude, can you not see that whole montage of people just walking across? Like, yeah, I know it's a public space, but hello, like if someone walked across an entire mural that I've done, oh man, I'd be so pissed. But yeah, it's also not easy. I think like the kid is annoying. Like he does not, like he's just like, I this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. There's like no uh what's it like, no thought for consequences, no second thoughts, no hesitations. Like even the part where he hears that they've found aliens, this guy just immediately bolts into that special meeting room, jumps into a trash can, and overhears everything. So and then messes around with, like, I'm guessing NASA stuff. So it's not like all good from the kid's side. Like there is certain things that the kid is definitely guilty of. Um, but okay, so he, I don't know if you want to talk about the bullying aspect of things, where obviously
Hmm.
he gets his. Again, I'm not saying that he deserves it, but the dude was very greedy. He took the kid's ham radio and is like, now buzz off.
Yeah, pretty much. Um, I think again, like he's just excited with uh, getting to use the radio or whatever, and he doesn't want unnecessary interference in that. So he wants him to be kind of gone. He's a kid at the end of the day, so I don't think it's like very clear in terms of boundaries of what's okay and what's not okay. So does he? I mean, kind of initiate that situation in a way where um, unnecessarily kind of like tries to snatch it away repeatedly, as opposed to like coming down and having a conversation and trying to explain what he's trying to do. Obviously he's a kid, so he doesn't get all of that, right?
Yeah.
And the consequence of that is, rather than that being a solitary situation where it just resolves post that this thing, one of them at least decides to kind of take it further in terms of ensuring this person is uh, like scared is not the right word, probably horrified for the rest of his life in a certain way.
Scarred, yeah.
But yeah,
No,
um,
did you get like Stranger Things vibes from it? Because I did.
yes,
You
it,
did? Yeah.
I think it was raining or something, right? As well.
At the point where when they dress up as
When
aliens
they're
and
in
try
the
to
tent,
break.
when they're in the tents,
Yeah.
When they're trying to sneak up on him or something.
yeah, right. Because he goes down that forest way or whatever, and then to the beach. So all of that was like real Stranger Things vibe. So
No, I also got it because of the ham radio. Remember, they have the science teacher
yeah,
gets them interested and all of that. Like here
I think
also, you
even the bits of the music, right? There were certain this thing which kind of almost hinted at
mm.
Stranger Things.
They also had the lights at the end, flickering. So yeah.
yeah.
Coming back to this, yeah, like I mean, the bullying aspect was, uh, I mean, bullying is not cool whatsoever, right? Like, and it never ends well. Um, so it's like I like how they covered it here in the sense that she takes him to the camp, whatever, to kind of put him in boarding or whatever that is, right? And immediately, like when the bullying happens, she kind of steps in and draws the line and saying that, like, it's, don't ask me to calm down, it's not like, bullying is not a small this thing, so I draw the line here, and like I'm taking him back, kind of a thing. So I like that aspect of it, in terms of like taking very drastic calls to make sure that this does not continue in any way. um could the situation have been handled better? Probably a talking down to this thing, I don't know how that continues, right? But at least, like, from a communication perspective, I think there needs to be a lot more, because even the other kid kind of needs to be a little, I think you need to have a communication with him in terms of like what's okay, what's not okay, like, and how you react to certain situations which didn't pan out in a certain way. But anyway, like, we're kind of, I think, going away from what the movie was trying to focus on. And to that point, like, yeah, they had bullying as one of the aspects there, and they kind of dealt with it in the best way possible to kind of take the kid out.
Well, they dealt with bullying by letting the bullying happen by replacing Elio with clone Elio. Because they let clone Elio get the shit beaten out of him.
Well, I mean, that's like that on the same night, right? So technically, the bullying's not taken place yet. It takes place, and then immediately the result is the next day the aunt is there to take him away. That's
Yeah,
how. So I
yeah.
mean,
I mean, the bullying it's not stopped before it happens. I mean, the kid gets his ass beaten, or the clone kid gets his ass
no one
beaten.
gets, yeah, yeah.
Clone kid pretty much enjoys it. But yeah, okay. So focusing on what the movie is all about, and this is the fact that the kid's looking out for aliens, is interested on if there is a world out there, and uh,
Kid
fortunately
is
for him,
not
there is.
alien because he feels like he does not belong, and I think that's what the crux of the story is about. Like he feels there's no one in humanity that appreciates him for what it is, and not just his aunt. Like every other experience, whether that is the beach goers that who kind of just walk all over him in a certain sense, or these kids that he encounters and kind of are taking him for a ride, and all of that makes him feel like he doesn't belong. And I think that's the story of it. Like he feels like he doesn't belong in this universe, but perhaps there's another universe where he's accepted, and the acceptance, according to me, is what he's looking for.
I get that, but there's also I understand that bit, but he's also quite interested in the world that's out there, because that's the first sort of scene that we see where he, again, this kid has no regard for rules, walks into this room, and which is a pretty cool room. I mean, I would say as a kid I would love a science exhibition sort of room like that, and was very fascinated by this world that's not here. Uh, and but yes, I think at the end it turns out to be more I don't know if it's a cry for help, but just more a sense of belonging, or a lack of sense of belonging and on Earth, and wanting to meet new people elsewhere.
New
But
species.
fortunately, yeah, new species elsewhere, and fortunately, he is. Okay. By the way, I don't know, when you guys were kids, were you ever fascinated by the unknown, the otherworldly? Were you always like, huh? I wish aliens were aliens existed, and I'd love to be like beamed up to their spaceship, because I've
But
seen
like
movies and I do not. I have seen the worst kind of alien movies, and
it
I'm
depends
not.
on which aliens you watched and at what point in your life, right? Like, and I think my first, if I recall it right, my first exposure to aliens per se was Buzz Lightyear, someone who came from Star Command, and like you
The
had like
toy,
these.
yeah.
He had, I think, three or four of them that were there along with him. There were two different shows, right? Like obviously Toy Story the movie, and then the show in itself for Buzz Lightyear. So I I mean, like those guys seemed really cool to me. Like, and that would be
But
fun.
Buzz isn't an alien. Buzz is an
Buzz
astronaut.
is, yeah, an astronaut, but he's got like three other. Um,
Oh, are you talking about the
there's not
alien aliens?
this,
Those
yeah,
me,
the proper
yeah.
aliens.
Yeah, yeah, okay, you're talking about them. Okay, okay, fine. Because you're like, my first exposure to aliens is a human astronaut, and I was like, what's he talking about? Then, because they were aliens in that movie,
Yeah,
and
and
yeah,
there were those three-eyed.
yeah. That's what I'm talking about. So I didn't
Yeah.
know that was what you were mentioning. So that's why I wanted clarification, because yeah, it just felt like human alien. But yes,
No,
but
I
they,
meant like, on the Star Command there were multiple other aliens, and
yeah,
that looked like a fun aspect of or wanting something like to experience something like that. Like I
okay.
mean that was a kid until you see like these crazy alien movies. Otherwise, like the Predator or something like that, and then you're like, yeah, I don't want to come across species like that.
Yeah, yeah. So fine. So, but were you interested? Were you like keen on like this sort of otherworldly?
Yeah, of what I'd been exposed to, yeah, absolutely. Like that would be like a lot of fun. But like I mean, of all the media I've seen, otherwise,
No,
post,
no. When you were a kid, I'm talking about, not now. But when you were a kid, you'd be like, yeah, sure.
yeah, I think space travel and visiting other planets with life and all of that seemed cool as a kid for sure.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine. Like visiting other planets. Like I used to watch Magic School Bus, and they had an entire episode where they used to went to other planets. Oh my god, that was the best episode ever. But yeah, alien wise, I don't know. Uh, not that I was exposed to like the major alien movies, the Ridley Scott stuff, but you read and heard stuff, and you're like, huh, no, not really. Aaron, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I was interested in figuring out whether there were aliens and stuff like that way, but in terms of interacting, I don't think so. I think because back when we were kids, everything was about, oh, I was abducted by an alien and probed, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
all these
It's
weird ass experiences that people would come up with and stuff like that way. So, yeah, I don't think when we were kids there was too many promising stories that would want you to experience alien interaction. But yeah, I mean, the thought of aliens and people from other planets and stuff, that was always pretty cool to kind
yeah.
of
It, it's
understand what was going on.
it's the probing bit that
Yeah.
dampened expectations. um, but yeah, okay. So he gets beamed up, and I think the way he ends up into the communiverse, right? My God, one of the most claustrophobic experiences. I would have been screaming my wits out. I don't like really enclosed spaces, and the fact that it felt almost like now I don't know if it's spoiler alert. No, it's actually technically no. Have you watched the movie Nope?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. I'm glad you actually at least gave that as an answer. Okay, so it's a Jordan Peele horror movie, and in that, like, there is a bit about aliens and all that, and they suck up people.
Is
And
this the one with the one out on a ranch or like
yeah,
a
yeah.
right, right. I've seen the trailers for it, right?
So I mean, yeah, the trailers anyway gave it away, but when they do, it's like they get sucked up this pipe or this tube, and it's very claustrophobic, right? And so that's what I'm like. When the kid went up there, I was like, damn, they actually went quite. Because I just thought it'd be like, the usual, the flap down or the landing. Um, what is it called? It's not the landing bay. It's not the bay. It's the door, right? The door opens, and then you get
Beamed up.
beamed up or whatever. So I thought it would be something like that. I was mesmerized by the shape of the communiverse, which is pretty cool. Um, I wasn't sure of what it was, but yeah, let's talk about this communiverse, which is essentially a habitat of for different species across the world. I mean, I guess people eventually stay there, right? Like it's the ambassadors or the leaders, and this.
Yeah.
Ambassadors.
Yeah.
I
So
think
that's what this is.
people of some significance from wherever they've come from, I guess.
Again, it's interesting that they picked up Elio. I mean, obviously sends them that message, "Come get me." The intro, obviously, to this video, but it's intriguing that the aliens or the other species believed that to be of certain importance and were seeking or
I think
sought Elio.
what is of importance in that scene is that leaving out the humans, every other race that's there, like their prominent um, dignitaries or whoever it is that's representing them, is quite innocent or very straightforward. It's not like humans at all in that sense. Like imagine sending one of the more actual leaders um, to represent Earth, right? And
Yeah,
like the first and foremost strategic outcome of that would be what would or how would Earth benefit from this, to say the least, right? Like, and that doesn't seem to be the case with
honestly,
these.
if they take some of the leaders that are currently there and then keep them in the communiverse, I mean, Earth could benefit. Not gonna lie.
Well, they would leave a clone behind, so you never
Oh yeah,
know.
no, yeah, but mm,
Yeah,
yeah, no, that's true. That's true. There was that bit. It's like conveniently forgot. But yeah, uh, it's it's hilarious to see that everyone. Yeah, it just I don't know if it's a an intended thing to show that humans are indeed one of the worst races or species in the world, because the moment they bring someone who is a kid, and that's not to say that even current leaders who they could have beamed up would have behaved any better. He clearly starts lying from the get go, starts doing various bunches of shit,
Bargaining
and then
chips.
bargain, yeah, and then
Negotiation chips.
yeah. So it's hilarious that like the leaders have never faced any confrontation whatsoever, and then the moment somebody eventually comes in and demands to be let into the communiverse, everyone just flees. Like it
Yeah.
just goes to show that, like, I don't know, either the other universes, the other species are so peaceful that they just don't like confrontation, or yeah, it's
That
just
seems to be the case. I think this doesn't even seem like it's the first time it's happening. I think it's something they generally do if and when something like this happens. They kind of just go away into their cocoons or whatever it is, and kind of then reconvene at a point where whatever existing threat is not a threat anymore, of sorts, or at least that's what's hinted upon in the way they're dealing with things, right? Because they don't like confrontation whatsoever. They're very peaceful from that perspective, and it's clear that they don't have an ulterior motive in all the conversations or decisions they're making, basically, right? Like the first thing I thought, or I was overthinking, was, again, this is a Pixar movie, but I was thinking, what if the aliens are not like these? This communiverse is not all about wanting to do better things. What if it's about planning an invasion, or they're just trying to get information out of it? But it's not. That's, I mean, nowhere close to all of that, right? Like,
yeah, that's the straightforward nature of this movie. I genuinely thought like the other species, especially the red glowing one, would actually betray Elio at some point.
yeah,
And I was like expecting it, like, okay, now it's gonna be, and then nothing of it happened. I was like, oh, okay, very
yeah,
very simple. Uh, but yes, of course, it's the human kid who decides that he's gonna take matters into his own hands and save the communiverse. So he ships off to the Hylugorians, oh, Hylugorians. That's the word. Hylugorians.
alert, alert.
Hylurgians. Yeah, yeah. Whatever they are, I mean, it's probably yeah.
One of them.
So one of them. So he basically flies to their ship, which is a hilarious sequence as he starts bouncing the ball up to the ship and starts ping ponging off the base of it. But his initial negotiations are not very successful. It starts to be successful,
Yeah,
and
and
then
then
he, as we all humans do, love to tell other parents how to parent their kid. And guess how that goes? Yeah, not very well, because Grygon basically
takes
uh,
offense.
takes offense, imprisons Elio, and decides that he's going to take over the communiverse and become the ruler there. Right. Uh, Now, that's when I think for me the movie really picks up pace, or picks up the intrigue, which is Elio escapes and meets Clordon, who is Grygon's kid.
The
Very
prince.
initially creepy looking kid species.
I love the entry bit where he seems so scary, and like, it's like he's a monster, and like I never expected him to be as cute as he turns out to be. And there are like two sequences of that, right? Like, one, obviously, when and where he's introduced, and the second one is in the tunnel where the lava's coming through, and
Yeah.
he's innocent enough to say, "Get in, get in here."
My mouth.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah, and he opens the mouth, and the mouth is like really damn scary. Uh, but I like that sequence of the kid jumping in, and then he says, like, "I like it in here," and this guy is even more innocent to say, "Oh, is it like I've never been in there?" And I'm like, it was
Yeah.
too funny. It was really cute as well.
No, for me, Glodon is probably the best character. I love the fact that he talks about like being swaddled by his mom when he was a kid, because that's what he was trying to do with Elio. I thought it was one of Grygon's sort of henchmen
Yeah,
trying to, eat Elio.
Zara.
But again, this is a Pixar movie and a straightforward one at that. I love the nature of the Holograms, right? Which is essentially that they are these caterpillar leech type creatures, and they have to they have a full armor build which has the coolest of technologies, right? It's basically James Bond's wet dream. And so it,
Brad, we're reviewing a Pixar movie, FYI.
it's fine on YouTube. Anyways, it's not for kids, so it's okay. Um, yeah. Now, obviously, I love that aspect that that's how these creatures are. They don't just immediately aren't born as crab-like bots, right? They're basically creatures um, who become sort of passengers in these vessels. But yeah, I think the relationship. I think that's one that we need to talk about because that's the crux of this movie, right? Like this sort of bond, this friendship that both of them feel like they don't belong where they were born, or they feel like out of place, or they feel like their parents
Not
don't really understand. The parents slash aunt don't really understand who they are. Obviously, for Glodon, his mom is not there because she's off somewhere. I think she's back.
weird to find out.
Yeah, yeah. I'm guessing she makes an
He's
appearance. I think if
fighting
it's
with
like
blood worms or something.
I think if it's like How to Train Your Dragon, she'll end up somewhere or the other, raising another bunch of species. But yeah, what did you guys make of that entire relationship? What did I spoil it again?
Sorry?
No, why
Um,
why are you shaking your head? What did I say?
no, it's just the comments from what you said before to now. It's like quite something like definitely not for kids.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Sorry, you were saying?
No, what do you make of the relationship? Because that for me was probably the highlight of this movie.
It was very hardening, right? And like you mentioned, it's from the fact that even though they're two very different species, they're feeling something quite similar, um, of very two different reasons. I mean, obviously, Elios lost his parents, and he's um, staying with his aunt or with his guardian or whatever. Whereas for Glordon, he has his parents. One of them is away on like duty or whatever it is, but he still has them, right? And even though his dad is right there, he still feels quite distant from him. He feels um, that his dad does not accept him for who he truly is, and would never accept him if he chose to kind of go down that pathway, right? So he's kind of prepping himself to become what his father wants him to be so that he feels loved and accepted. And Elio also is on the similar lines, but in a different aspect, in the sense that he also feels like he doesn't belong and he feels alone and doesn't feel appreciated. But instead of like trying to make himself change in order to become someone his aunt loves, he chooses to kind of just abandon that and look for other people or like other species that would accept him for who he is, right? And while that is two different things, the thing that brings them together is a feeling of being alone, and not being able to kind of not feeling seen in a lot of ways, I suppose. And the bond they forge from that, um, uh, it's a beautiful connection that kind of just immediately you see that there's a very good chemistry there. It almost feels like they're um like brothers in a
Yeah,
way. And,
brothers from
it's
other mothers.
brothers from other mothers, yes, and fathers. uh and
Sure. Yes.
y- yeah, and like just the whole feeling of like there are two ways, right? When the bargaining chip scenes happens, where Elio realizing that he could use him as a bargaining chip, if he is like the leaders of today, would probably just decide to trick Glordon and
Did
try
you
and
did
use
you
him.
think that that was the route that they were gonna go? That like he was gonna use him as a
I
bargaining
was
chip, Glorden
scared.
wouldn't know, and then Glorden would
I was
realize, and
scared.
then yeah,
I was scared that they would go down that route, but I was really happy that the
scared
next
in
scene
what
was,
way?
in the sense that like it would then be about betrayal, and in the sense that it kind of shows that um Elio is becoming someone who, from what was shown, is not the case or not the character he was. But I think now that he needs to be accepted, he's suddenly going down this dark pathway of doing anything and everything to kind of make sure that he's accepted, right? And that is something that I didn't want happening, and thankfully that didn't. Like immediately the next scene is like where he's discussed it with Glorden, and Glorden is on board, and then that even better sequence of the whole lava and get in here, trust, the whole trust sequence thing happens, and that
Yeah,
was really nice to see.
I love the part where Glorden also says, "Hey, Dad, I'm a bargaining chip." Like, woohoo!
Yeah, yeah, and then he switches up to say, oh, they're like ferocious or something like that, and he falls like the like think like that was really good in terms of the character design for Gordon. Like I really liked his character quite a
which
bit.
which so I think in like in live action you can obviously say that the chemistry between two actors, you can see that in a movie.
Right.
But I think in like animation it becomes even more difficult because it's just voice acting, right? It's like you have to make sure that the characters are written well, because even poorly written characters in live action can still have good chemistry as long as the actors bounce off each other. But here it makes it even more difficult, which is why I appreciated it a lot more. It was really fun to see that. But to add to what you said, Naeem, also the one thing is, I think there's also a part of Elio which is like maybe my aunt is better off without me, because he sees how well she's handling or she's enjoying her life with the clone.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know about you guys, but say for instance, your parents, you get cloned and or you get replaced with your clone. How soon do you think your parents would spot you or spot that it's not you, essentially?
See, the thing is, I think what's key there is he does not have time to kind of sit him down and brief him on the characteristics and kind of um, tell him who he is.
I love
It's more about
the clones like, what's my
being
motive? What's
you
my
be normal. Exactly, you be normal and like this thing. So he tries to behave normal in the sense that he doesn't have the scars that Elio has, and he's not been through that trauma, so he doesn't understand all of that. As per what I get, right, like that's what the clone does not understand, and that's why when he's with the aunt, he's behaving like this guy who listens to everything his aunt is saying and does everything that he thinks a good child would do, all of that stuff. Which, I mean, in that scene where he's seeing what's going on, reflects that they're having a really, like, the aunt is really liking that change and really appreciates him more that way and all of that stuff. But I think it's inherent that you kind of realize when something is off, in the sense that it's not very in line with their characteristic, to kind of like, it's, to say the least, like tomorrow if
No, so again, you went a whole circle when I just asked the question. It's like, if you were cloned, how
yeah.
long would it take your parents to figure it out? And it feels like you were just gonna say like, oh, they're not gonna figure it out. They're like, yeah. So how quickly
Again,
do you think?
if, if I train the clone
No,
right,
no,
I
no, no,
think
no, no,
they
no,
would.
not train. It's like you the same situation.
Yeah, no, I think they would. It would be pretty easy, because the moment he folded up his clothes and started cooking something, they would know, yeah, there's something definitely wrong in that. That's not my kid, for sure. So yeah, I think it wouldn't take too long at all for them to find out.
Aaron?
Yeah, I think pretty quickly, because I don't think I'm that agreeable, at least when it comes to my parents. So yeah, yeah. I mean, doing everything, even going and trimming a hedge and stuff. Geez, that's not happening.
Yeah. I wonder what my clone would be like, because what's the one thing that my parents would figure
It
out?
would be very simple. The way he would talk to his mother would be
I knew.
very
I didn't want to
different.
say that. I didn't want to say that.
It would just take one phone call, and they're like, "Yeah, that's not my son."
Yeah. This is not my son. This is not my son. Uh,
I was figuring the same thing out, because you said cooking and I was like, I cook, so they wouldn't figure that out. I think doing chores, yeah, I probably do that, so it wouldn't be that. But I was just wondering what it was, and yeah, that's probably the only thing that would come into mind. Um, okay, now of course, so the it then becomes sort of a so then we come to this point where Elio goes back to is the communiverse realizes that Elio is not the who he
After the
see
word
who yeah
number.
who he claims to be, and is then sent back to Earth, where of course moments prior to that, Clodon is sent there when he accepts Earth as his destination in that spaceship, right? But turns out that he can't handle Earth's conditions, right? So it becomes then a sort of rescue mission to get him back to his father and get him back to the communiverse. I love the part where they're dodging asteroids, and it felt like almost like a PlayStation game where they're trying to move things or figuring out how where the asteroids are coming from and what maneuvers to do. Because I think in one of the screens there was like even an X button, and I don't know whether that meant like it was showing them or what it was, but it felt very like arcade game like.
Yeah,
um
the X I think is the object in
Spaceship,
itself. Like the trajectory it was on, and then it had the red X or something like that, right?
something, yeah, yeah.
I think that's where they expected it to end up, or something like that. Or that's where they expected it. Like on the
Yeah,
trajectory light is, and the trajectory the object is. That's where the collision would probably happen. So
so
they
that's the
needed to
intersection point, right?
intersection.
Yeah, but it felt like if you guys we've all played Among Us, right? You remember that there's that asteroid sort of game that you play and then you keep shooting. It just felt similar to that,
Yeah,
which is quite fun. But of course, I think so. The entire mission becomes a rescue mission where he takes Clodon, goes to the communiverse, and then, of course, then the father breaks out of his suit, and it turns out Clodon isn't dead, which is
Father, obviously.
phew. Yeah, father comes loose, undresses himself, and then basically tells his kid, uh, yeah,
What was
swaddles the kid, and essentially tells him that he will love him for who he is. And yeah, so I mean, there's not much that
you
really goes.
painted a very weird picture
I
there, but okay.
Hey, I mean, guess who's with the overactive imagination here? Um, no, so essentially, it ends up being that both the aunt and the father accept Elio and Glodon for who they are and what they want to become. But also, I think from Elio's perspective, he realizes that it's not Earth's fault. It's like I think up to that point, he was always blaming the others and the place that where he was born for not accepting him. But it turns out that he needs to kind of not change, but he needs to understand other people. Sorry.
open up, communicate.
Yeah, open up, communicate, also just understand other people's perceptions, and then yeah, just try and be a better person. And I think just he had to. He was such a menace. I'm surprised they didn't call him Dennis. But yes, it's like whatever said and done. Any mentions of for the voice cast? I think after a long time there weren't too many A-listers in terms of the voice cast, because you've seen a lot of Disney movies, Pixar movies really hire a lot of celebs and the bigger stars to voice their character. I think here, if I'm not mistaken, I could only recognize the aunt, Grygon, and the red species alien.
Who played Grygon?
Brad Garrett. He comes in. Trying to think of which movie. He's obviously in that Everybody Loves Raymond TV show.
Okay.
But let me see if I can. I'm sure if I show you the picture, which I'll show you right now, you'll come to know who I'm talking about. It's this guy.
Ah, okay. Yeah, cool. Got it.
Yeah, so that's him. So he plays Grygon. Obviously, the aunt is played by Zoe Saldana.
So every time Grygon spoke, it kind of reminded me of. I mean, the character in itself reminded me of iRock for some reason. iRock from. Is it iRock?
You're
The
talking
guy
about Ready Player One.
Ready Player One. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had similar vibes in terms of the character. But yeah,
Go check out our Ready Player One review. I had to plug that in somehow. But yes. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah. I think and then the other red species alien is the other person I remember. She comes from The Good Place, Jamila Jamil. I think she's there in
the
She Hulk as
one who
well.
does the mind reading bit.
Yeah, the queen of whatever. So yeah, I think it's one of those films where I like the fact that there weren't too many A-list celebs. It was a lot of unknown names, and I think it played out, especially that the kid actors did quite a good job. Anything else that we want to discuss about the movie before we call it a day and return back home?
I think I just loved how amazing the communiverse was. Like the way it was designed, even the even the toilets for that matter. It was just crazy how creative they got with the level designs, if I may call it. Um, it's kind of also, I mean, as like how you mentioned, it felt very claustrophobic in terms of the travel sequence. I really enjoyed that bit. It was like very different to what I was expecting. Like I was expecting him just being beamed up to the ship, and for then that to change into the whole kind of like a, is it like a 5D space? I don't know how to like 4D 5D. How would you define that? I don't know. Like it kind of gave me the vibes of, you know, in Interstellar towards the end where he drops into that
Yeah.
emptiness of space, and then suddenly things start coming at him like really quick and stuff. Like it felt like that box for a moment, kind of a thing, and it looked really nice. I really liked the picturization as a whole in general, but especially that moment when you see Communiverse for the first time. Pretty cool.
Aaron, any final thoughts on this?
No, I think the main takeaway was just the visuals of the movie. I think that's something that I really enjoyed. I think, like I mentioned, the communiverse was nice, but I just found like the detailing, like the scales on like load on, and like you could even see like the hair on the arms of Elio and stuff like that. Just the details that they kind of worked on, I think that was quite nice. And yeah, it's pretty cool to see how far animated movies have come. And so yeah.
I I agree with that, but I kind
Just
of
one thing before we close. Sorry, go ahead.
no. I just want to say that I do miss the simplistic artistic films as well. I think for me, like 101 Dalmatians, remember the 2D kind of drawing? Those are so good, and I wish that does make a comeback at some point, but highly unlikely. Yeah, go ahead, Naeem.
I was just saying that sequence when they're traveling back using the spaceship to the Communiverse, right? And they lose contact for a bit with the whole people that and then suddenly it's the world that's like guiding them through space. And you've got people from Italy, Japan,
Vikram.
Vikram from India. Namaste. I was like, okay, like, way to go, Disney. There's like a representation
Yeah, I
from.
mean, after Ambani's deal, I guess we've got a little more representation.
Yeah, had to
But
have
yeah,
a guy from Mumbai.
Yeah, just like on this podcast. No, but yeah, I think, yeah. Overall, I think it was a decent watch. It's, I think, one that you don't really need to put your mind into. Just enjoy the wholeheartedness and the innocence that it kind of shows. And that's, it's nice to have that difference. Like I said, like you were saying, you know how animations has changed and now a lot of animations are a lot more refined. I kind of miss the old stuff. I think here also kind of, you kind of miss you. I think we've gotten to a point where we expect so many cool things and so many different nuances and, you know, references to current social society and how it works, all of that. But, you know, and when you get something simple, you're like, oh, that's it. But I think it's nice to maybe have that. It was a nice, refreshing take. And yeah, while I still think for me it was a 3 out of 5, but yeah, it was still a fun movie to watch. And so thanks, Naeem, for making us watch that. Unfortunately, you hyped it up too much with your overly enthusiastic voice.
I'm sure
But
there is some the audience would have enjoyed it as much as I did.
no,
What was
I
that?
did. I think if I didn't, if you just told me go watch Elio, I would have been okay. I think it's that you,
Well, it
it's
wouldn't
like,
have changed the rating per se. Like the goal is to kind of. I think Disney is kind of not completely hit their strides, but they are in the right pathway in the sense that they are starting to make movies again, which are like animated ones that kind of again, at least for me, tug on your heartstrings, have that nice rapport between characters and things like that. And I don't know. I mean, I do kind of feel like this is a movie for sure that at some point, like if I don't have anything else to watch and I want to have like a good laugh or like feel something, I'll probably just like play it on Disney Plus.
yeah, I'll definitely play the scene from when he meets Glordon till the thing. I think that bit for me was hilarious. But yeah. Anyway, do let us know what you thought of the movie. If you watched Elio, do let us know what you thought about it in the comments down below. If you haven't, then you can go check it out. I know I joked at the start that the summary was good enough, but still, I think you should take some effort and watch it, just so that you're rewarding the people who made the movie. And yeah, I guess that's about it for this particular episode and our review of Disney Pixar's Elio. We'll catch you all on the next episode. Don't forget to hit the like button, share, subscribe with friends and family, and we'll catch you all next time. See you.